is Jamie Voigt, and this is my Cradle to Prison project. I created a demographic game. The game is the Human Demographic Gamble, and I'm going to play the game for you and show you how it works and show you how it shows us resiliency and the effects of trauma in our lives. So the first thing is that each player gets 18 turns. One turn is one flip of a lid. One side has an M, one side has a C. It's for marbles or cotton balls. And this represents each year of a child's life up to adulthood. So to start, I'm going to randomly draw one card out of a race envelope. That is part of the inherited conditions that we will be using. Also, we will be discussing human needs. We will be discussing inherited burdens, voluntary or involuntary inherited conditions, recipient of goodwill, and willful acts of self-care. So I'm going to take one race card without looking out of the bag. African American. The other race cards that are available are Caucasian, Hispanic, Native American, and Asian. Now, on each of the race cards, there are a number range. This number range says red 4 to 6. That means I'm going to roll my die, and I can only accept numbers number 4 to 6, and that's how many bags I'm going to be taking out of my red bags. So I'm going to roll it, and I got a number 1. That's not between 4 and 6, so I'm going to roll again. I got a number 3. I'm going to pull out 3 out of my reds, inherited burdens. I have nutrition, isolation, and violence. I'm going to pull out 3 from my voluntary or involuntary inherited conditions. I have a foster home, I have family tension, and I have sexuality. Now, there's also a portion on my African American card that says green, and that means that's the number range I can accept from my green bags. It's 1 to 4. So I'm going to roll my die, and I got a 5, so I'm going to roll it again. I got a 3, so I'm going to take 3 out of each. Out of recipient of goodwill, I got financial assistance, charity, and kindness. Out of willful acts of self-care, I got nature, I got beauty, and I drew meditation. So these are all of the bags that I'm going to get to use in my game of the Human Demographic Gamble. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay these out so that I can see them. And now I'm ready to get started. So I'm going to put my African American card right here. I'm done with my die. Race goes back. After I'm done getting my race card, I already did my corresponding red and green bags. I'm going to randomly draw one card from each of the inherited conditions envelopes and add the corresponding marbles or cotton balls to the red and green bags. Now the marbles represent the weight of trauma from those particular attributes in my life. The cotton balls represent the resiliency that the positive attributes of my life can add. So I'm going to pull out all my envelopes from the inherited conditions. Health, poor, good, average. I'm going to pull one out. I have poor health. Because I have poor health, I have to add 1 marble to each red item on each turn, and 5 to the healthcare bag if I had drawn out a red bag that said healthcare on it. I did not. So I have 1 marble that's going to go on top of each of my red bags. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red. I'm going to take 1 marble and add it on top of each of my 6. That's violence, isolation, nutrition, family tension, sexuality, and a foster home. Because of poor health, I have added trauma in each of those areas. Now, there's also on the top of each of these cards at-risk points. I'm going to be adding up my at-risk points in order to decide later on in the game choices that will be made because of being at risk or high risk in my life. So these are the choices dependent on my at-risk and high risk points that I'm going to be adding up here in just a minute. So I already did health. I'm going to do gender. Am I a boy or am I a girl? I am male. Excuse me. Now it says on the back of the card that if I'm Caucasian or Asian, add 2 cotton balls to each green. If I am African American, which I am, add 2 marbles to each red. So I'm going to put my male card down. I'm going to add 2 marbles to violence, isolation, nutrition, family tension, sexuality, and foster home. Now, sexuality is not necessarily any kind of sexuality. It just means a controversial sexuality in whatever location that I am living. So I have done gender, I have done health. Now I'm going to do economic status, and I'm pulling out the card, below poverty. Below poverty, I have 3 red marbles to each of the bags. So that is 3 more marbles to violence, isolation, nutrition, foster or family tension, sexuality, and foster home. So this actually is happening before I am even born in this game. My family status. Am I in a family with 2 parents or a single parent? I am in a family with a single parent. So on the back of this it says add 2 marbles to each red bag because of a lack of stimulation, altered neural structures, reduced executive function. Add 1 marble to each red on each turn. So I'm going to take off this little note. I'm going to put it next to my red bags, and from the get-go I have to add 2 red marbles to each again of my red bags. So that's 2 more for violence, 2 more for isolation, 2 more for nutrition, 2 more for family tension, 2 more for sexuality, and 2 more for foster home. And then I have to add 1 for every turn I take with my lid. Last bag is nationality. Am I an American citizen or am I an immigrant? I am an American citizen. On the back it says add 1 cotton ball to each green. That is resilient, an added resiliency to meditation is a bag from self-care, acts of self-care. I'm going to turn these to the right in front of the correct bag here. I have a resiliency to beauty and a resiliency to nature. These are willful acts of self-care. I also have recipient of goodwill. I'm going to add 1 to financial assistance, 1 to kindness. Somebody is showing kindness in my life, and 1 to charity. Somebody is showing charity in my life. All right, so we have done all of those. Now it's time for us to add up our at-risk and high-risk points. I have 5 points for below poverty, plus 4 points for African American, that's 9, plus 4 points for single parent, that is 13, plus 2 points for poor health, I'm at 15, 1 point for being an American citizen, that's 16 points, and 2 points for being male, so I am at 18 points. Now, I look down across my directions, and I happen to know that if my score is between a 16 and a 20, then I need to draw 4 at-risk or high-risk choice cards. So between a 16 or 20, I have the score of 18. That would mean I need to draw out 4 cards. And I'm going to keep them hidden from myself. I'm going to actually just take them out and put them underneath this little envelope so that I don't see what they say. I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So these are choices that I will be making during my adolescence, and that is because I am in a high risk or at-risk demographic by just the nature of being born into these circumstances. So now I'm going to prepare my tracking card. This is my tracking card. I have all 18 birthdays. I have below a 0 line, that is my trauma rating. I have above a 0 line, that is my resiliency rating. And then I'm also going to have a human condition rating, which is going to be the average of those two scores as I am playing. So on my 18th birthday, I have one more thing that I will get to do, but we will wait to do that until I get to being 18 years old. And that has to do with my high needs, or human needs bag, because we have orange and orange are correlated. That helps me remember that that goes with that particular bag. So, congratulations, it's my birthday. I'm ready to be born, and I'm going to get to start my human demographic gamble. Good luck. Here I go. I'm going to flip my lid. My game. Today's my birthday. And starting off, I'm going to start counting my trauma that I have inherited just by being born and my resiliencies that I have also inherited just by being born. In each of my trauma inherited burdens bags, I have 5 marbles, and then through drawing all of these out of my inherited conditions envelopes, I have also added more marbles. So I'm going to start adding those, my at-risk or high-risk points. And I actually have done that. I have 18 at-risk points, which means because of my rules of the game, I need to pick 4 at-risk or high-risk choice cards on that I will be playing during my lifetime or during my adolescence. I will be playing them, let's see, one on my 10th birthday, one on my 13th, my 15th, and my 17th. So 1, 10, 13, 15, and 17th birthdays. I will make sure to look at those at-risk or high-risk choice cards. I haven't looked at those, and it will be kind of a surprise during my adolescence of what those choices are going to be. So before I get to start, it's going to be my birthday, and I have a certain amount of trauma and a certain amount of resiliency that I need to add up so I can put it on my human demographic gamble sheet. I have already added up my trauma. Let's see here what my total was. Plus 18 plus 7. I have a total trauma starting off just being born of 60. Now, because those are on the bottom part, I'm actually going to translate that into a negative number. So before my first birthday, I am at negative 60. My resiliency, I have 5 resiliency cotton balls in each bag. So that is 30 plus the 6 that I got to choose because of my inherited conditions. So I have 36 on my birthday. So that is going to be above the in the top of my human demographic, because that is resiliency. Okie dokie, here we go. My first birthday, I'm going to flip my coin, which is my lid. It has M for marble, C for cotton ball. I got a marble. I have to put 1 marble on each of my red bags. So I have 1 more trauma for violence as 1-year-old, isolation, nutrition, family tension, sexuality, and foster home. So that makes my new total, that's negative 66 as a 1-year-old for trauma. And my positive stayed the same at 36. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to average those. I'm going to find the middle, the medium, and that is going to be my human condition as a 1-year-old. So here we go. I'm going to take 36 and take away 66 equals negative 30. As a 1-year-old, I have a negative 30 human condition. When I was born, I actually had, let's see, I'll go back. Let's see, I had 36, take away 60, a negative 24 So in that 1 year, my human condition has dropped. But I also, because I was born to a single parent, I need to add 1 marble to each red bag. So that's another 6 traumas on each of my red bags. That makes my total for my first birthday to be actually 73. And that makes my human condition go down. So I'm at negative 73 already. Holy moly. I'm at 36, take away 73 is negative 37. So there we go. All right, next birthday, 3 years old, flip my coin. It's a cotton ball. I get to put 1 resiliency cotton ball on each of my bags for financial assistance, kindness, charity, meditation, beauty, and nature. So that means my resiliency score goes up by 6. I was at 36. Now I am at 43. However, because yet again, I was born into a family of a single parent, I have to add 1 marble to each of my traumas. So that is another 6 on my trauma score. I was at 73. Now I am at 79. Negative 79. And 43 take away 79 should stay the same at negative 36. That's my human condition. Let's go to birthday number 3. I am a 3-year-old. Whoa, I got a marble. For my 3-year-old birthday, I get to add 1 trauma to violence, isolation, nutrition, poor nutrition because of a low-income family, sexuality, and foster home. And then I also, again, because I was born into a single-parent home, have to put 1 more trauma on each of those bags. That means my trauma score increased by 12. So we're at 79 plus 12. That is a negative 91 for my 3rd birthday. And my resiliency has not gone anywhere, so 43 take away 91. My human condition has gone down to a negative 48. Boy, keeps going down. All right, birthday number 4. I got cotton ball. I get to put 1 cotton ball on each resiliency. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Means my resiliency has gone up to 49. But again, being in a single parent home, I have 6 traumas added to each of my inherited burdens, which takes me down to negative 97. And it basically cancels out any kind of resiliency that I would have made for it. So 49 minus 97 is, again, negative 48. We haven't dropped, but still pretty poor human condition. 5th birthday. It's marble. That means add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 marbles because it was a birthday that added trauma. And again, another 6 marbles for being in a single parent home. So that adds 12 to my score of 97. Clear. 109. Negative 109. And I'm still only at 49 on my cotton balls, my resiliency cotton balls. So I'm going to take 49 minus 109. And right now my human condition score went down to 60. I'm at a negative 60. Not a very good human condition. And that was my 5th birthday. 6th birthday. It's a marble. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 traumas plus another 6 because of being in a single parent home. And that makes another 12 to my trauma score. So I was at 109 plus another 12. I'm at 121. I'm at negative 121. And my resiliency has not changed, so I am down to negative 72. And I have not even hit my 10th birthday. I am on my 6th birthday. As a 6-year-old, my human condition is negative 72. So I'm going to continue all the way through up to my 10th birthday, and then I will show you one of the high-risk or at-risk choices that I make as a 10-year-old in this human demographic 3 game. Birthdays. On my 7th birthday, I had a marble, so I added 12 traumas because of also being in a single-parent home. On my 7th birthday, my 8th birthday, I actually rolled cotton balls, so I got 6 resiliency cotton balls, but again, I have 6 red inherited burden bags, so that means I had 6 traumas for being in a single parent home. On my 9th birthday, I rolled an M for marble, so I ended up with 12 traumas. So now I'm on my 10th birthday. I'm going into my 10th birthday with a human condition score of negative 96, and because of my at-risk points, I am going to now choose one of my high-risk, at-risk choices. As a 10-year-old, I am addicted. I have an addiction. So for every single time that I roll now, I have to add 1 addiction trauma to each of my red bags. So it amplifies the trauma in my life significantly. All right, so here we go. I'm going to start off by adding 1 trauma from addiction to nutrition, isolation, violence, foster home, sexuality, and family tension. Also 1 to each from being a single parent home. And then also I am now going to flip my lid to see if my lid is a cotton ball, so now I get to put in a resiliency cotton ball for each of my resiliencies, my financial assistance, kindness, charity, meditation, beauty, and nature. So I'm going to add all of those scores up. I'm going to go ahead and do my 11th and my 12th birthday. I will meet you again on my 13th birthday, where yet again I will choose a high-risk, at-risk choice and show you how things have gone for my last 3 years. I had my 11th and my 12th birthday. On both of those birthdays, I rolled a marble, also because of being in a single-parent home and now being addicted to an illegal substance. Those also added more traumas. So because I have 6 inherited burden trauma bags, that was 3 trauma marbles for each bag. For each of those turns, that was 18 traumas and no resiliencies. On my 13th birthday, I'm going to choose one of my high-risk, at-risk choice cards, and it is theft. I have now started to be a thief, and that means I need to add 2 marbles to each red. If I had gotten the arrested red card, I would then also add 4 marbles to each red, but I did not. So I'm going to add 2 marbles to each of my reds. So on my 13th birthday, I had another one of my at-risk choice cards, and then I also did my lid. On each of those birthdays, I got marbles, and then also had to put on some more trauma points for addiction and single parent. I have also gone through 14th And now on my 15th birthday, because I am in an at-risk, high-risk demographic, I have another choice that is not a very positive choice. That choice is now truancy. So because I am now truant at school, I have to add 3 marbles to each one of my red bags. If I had drawn out a red bag that said educational opportunities, I would have to add 10 marbles to that bag. I did not draw that bag, but I am now adding 3 marbles to each of my red bags, along with another marble for single parent and another marble for addiction to each of those red bags. And as of right now, I will flip to see if I can have any cotton balls this birthday. And let's see. I do not get any cotton balls this birthday. It is all marbles for me. So I will add all of those up. That is a lot of trauma points, not any resiliency points. And my human condition score has gone way down. I'm going to see you again on my 17th and then my 18th birthday. I will continue to flip my lid and add in my scores, and I will see you again at 17 years old. Had my 16th birthday. I actually was able to have some resiliency cotton balls. I rolled a C for my 16th birthday, but again, I also had the trauma points, my trauma marbles for single parent and addiction. Now that I am 17 years old, I have one more high-risk, at-risk choice card. It is unsafe thrill seeking. So it looks like I am looking for some adventure in not positive ways. It is adding 2 trauma marbles to each of my red bags. So I'm going to set that here. That makes, because I have again 6 red bags, that makes another 12 added trauma marbles. For 2 for on violence, 2 for on isolation, 2 for on nutrition, family tension has another 2, sexuality has another 2, and then the foster home has another 2. Plus I need to now put another 1 for single parent and another 1 for addiction. So that makes another 2 on each of my red bags. So my piles of trauma marbles are enormous right now as a 17-year-old. As of right now, my trauma score was at a negative 292, and I just had to put in another 24 trauma points. So 292 plus that 24 trauma points, I'm now at a negative 316 as a 17-year-old. Oh wait, but I didn't flip my coin. So I now have to see if I at least get any cotton balls for my 17th birthday. I have cotton balls. Wonderful. So I'm going to take a cotton ball, put one on financial assistance, on kindness, on charity, on meditation, on appreciation of beauty, and on appreciation of nature. And grab that one. All right, but my score for my 17th birthday in my trauma category was a negative 316. Now my resiliency score can go up by that 6. I was at 73 in resiliency score, so now I am now at 79. And that makes my human condition score of negative 237. As 17 years old, I am at a negative 237 human condition. So now on my 18th birthday, I'm going to go through doing all of my scores one more time. I'm going to flip my coin, put in a single parent and an addiction trauma. But then we're going to talk about this bag called human needs and what those human needs are and how those are affected by each of these bags and each of these scores in my years of adolescence. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will meet you back after I roll and count. I have now turned 18. I am a legal adult, and my 18th birthday brings me a score of 85 in resiliency, negative 328 in trauma points, and that leaves my human condition at a negative 243. However, we each have basic human needs that we are born with, and on my 18th birthday, because of everything that I have accrued during my adolescence, I am going to look at my human needs and see how those are affected, and those will either cause more trauma points or they will cause resiliency points dependent on my scores. So if I have a negative human condition score, I'm going to be accruing more trauma points for my human needs not being met. And very sadly, I have a negative 273 for my human condition score as an African American male who has poor health. I live below poverty even though I'm an American citizen. So in my bag of human needs, my human need to feel like I contribute to society with a human condition score of negative 243, I'm not going to feel like I can contribute to society. I am going to probably not want to do that. One of my other human needs is to be loved. As again, with that negative score being so drastic, I probably am not going to feel like I am being very loved, either by society or my relationships. I have a human need to have purpose, to feel like my life has meaning and has purpose. Oops, actually meaning is one of my other ones. And feel like I have something I can pursue. And because again, my score in human condition is so drastically low, I probably am in survival. I'm not probably feeling like I have a purpose beyond just surviving each day. Another human need is to love others, and might tend to feel love towards those who are really close to me, maybe, if I have anyone that is now close to me as an 18-year-old in this situation. But the likelihood of me feeling much love for others is very low. Sadly, if I am trying to just survive, I'm probably using those around me as a means to be able to survive. Again, another human need I have is the need for meaning. Why am I here? What is this all about? What is life worth? And why am I experiencing the things that I'm experiencing? What's the meaning behind all of it? And sadly, because again, my human condition score is so low, I'm probably going to be deriving very negative meanings for my life and for existence. And then again, what is my worth? A human need is to feel like you are worth something very important. And because my human condition is so low, and I have been shown through all of the circumstances of growing that worth is very, very hard to see. It's hard to see and hard to distinguish through just living and surviving as an adolescent in these situations. So because my human condition score is so poor, and each of these human conditions are not being really met, or human needs, they are not being satisfied in my life, I need to add 5 trauma points to each of my red trauma bags. I actually already did that during the break, and that added another 30 trauma points to my 18-year-old score, which means that as an 18-year-old, now as an adult, I am entering adulthood with a trauma score of negative 358. Only a resiliency score of 85. Again, it really hasn't changed. And then my human condition score total is welcoming me into adulthood as negative 273. So how does this relate to the cradle to prison pipeline? These scores are indicative of trends towards poor choices. As you could see in this game, the high-risk at-risk choices drastically added trauma to my life. And because of those choices, and because of the trend of those numbers, I have a much higher risk of making choices that is going to cause me to become incarcerated as an adult. Even in adolescence, but definitely in my adult years. So the actual scores that typically are showing these individuals are most likely to be incarcerated is a human condition score. And again, my human condition score under these circumstances was negative 273. And a human condition score of anything lower than 150, which is right at the bottom of my chart, unfortunately is at the highest risk of being incarcerated. And my score was way down here at negative 273, so significantly lower, showing that it's highly, highly, highly likely that I would be incarcerated at this point or very soon after my 18th birthday for the choices that I'm making because of how I was brought up and how I was inherited the burdens that I had to live with as an adolescent. However, I have one more thing to share with you. Each of these bags represents a weight in our life, a weight of trauma, or a buoyancy of resiliency. And as of right now, obviously the trauma is significantly higher in score, but I'm going to actually have us test whether the weight of this trauma outpowers the resiliencies that we also experienced. Our first guess would be absolutely. It makes perfect sense rationally that the drastic weight of a trauma score of negative 358 would drastically outweigh a resiliency score of only 85. It's literally 4 times as high, 4 times as dire. But in life, that's not necessarily how things look. That's not necessarily the way things work, because the human heart has an extraordinary capacity to have hope. And so we're going to see what that looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of my marbles and put them into my heart. I'm also going to take all of my cotton balls and put them into my heart. And we're going to see if it sinks. There is one thing left to do before we float or sink our heart. The last thing to do is that there is one very important thing about resiliency, is that if you are able to do self-care, it actually gives you resiliency throughout. And so there's one adjustment that we are going to make. It's for the willful acts of self-care, the nature that we had drawn, meditation, and beauty. So having appreciation for nature and letting it fill up your heart, being able to practice meditation to calm yourself and to center your mind, and then to appreciate beauty. All of those are things that build resilience. And so because of those willful acts of self-care that we had, we are going to add 1 resiliency cotton ball from the age of 10 through the age of 18 for each of those categories that we had. So that actually comes out to 24 of those resiliency cotton balls, and I will change our numbers to reflect the difference in our human condition and in our resiliency. So remembering that our resiliency really does, our choices really do have an impact on our abilities to be resilient and to overcome trauma and overcome hardship. So what I've done is I've made our graph on the side of a tote, and this tote has water in it. The midline of water is just our baseline. It's 0. As you can see right here, I have a 0, and then I've put water. And here, the green line is our degree of resiliency, which behind it, you can see I've written hope. Above that line of water is the amount of hope that a person's heart has and enjoyed freedom that they have. Under the line, you can see is our score of negative 249 for human condition, negative 358 for trauma. But you see there's this dotted line. This dotted line goes all the way over here to the 150, negative 150. That is where the pipeline is. That is where our prison heightens in percentage of incarcerations. And so we're going to put the heart that we created from our demographic gamble in the water, and we're going to see if that heart is able to be resilient with the cotton balls that it had, and all of those marbles that we put in are also in there. And we're going to be able to see whether or not we have at risk for being incarcerated, which is the cradle to prison pipeline. If you can see just barely behind the hope, underneath the line of water, it says underneath it says despair. And under the water, that is where despair hits our hearts, and we're removing the freedoms of our hearts, and those human needs are not being met. So here is our heart. I'm going to put it in and see where it goes. Now, I would have thought it would sink. My first thought was, oh my gosh, there was 358 marbles, 358 traumas in this person's life before they're the age of 18, and only 109 resiliencies. And so I didn't put extra air in that bag, just to show you. Inside there, it's just the marbles, just the cotton balls, and I actually pushed as much air out so that this could be as accurate of a demonstration as I could make it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at where the water line moved. If you can see, I'm going to move us forward. The water line went from here and it moved up. So what that does is that increases the despair in someone's life. The amount of trauma that we incur actually increases the amount of despair in our life, and it decreases the amount of hope in our life. As you can see in the back there, it shows the word hope. Because of the weight of all of those traumas, it actually makes our line move. Now, if we come down as equal as we can make it, you can see that sadly, our heart is touching the prison pipeline. It is down to the bottom. I'll put my finger in down to the bottom of the heart, and you can see that my finger is touching the prison pipeline. So this person, this African American male who is an American citizen, he lives below poverty line, he's from a single parent home with poor health, just by doing our demographic gamble, sadly, he looks like he would be in prison by about the age of 18. So the project that we did was to get a real clear idea of the cradle to prison pipeline concept and what were the major takeaways that we learned from this project. I actually viewed the women in prison portion of this project. I've also had the pipeline touch my own life in the classrooms that I have taught in. And it makes a huge difference when you actually see it in kind of a concrete manner in the format that I created this game. Even though life isn't a game, it gives it that real clear, concrete, balanced perspective of numbers. So I really connected that the buoyancy of the resiliency of a person's heart, it's actually incredible to me, because when I first created the game, and I've played this many times, and I've been completely random each time I've made gone through the game, every single heart floats, every single one. Even the most traumatic adolescent outcome that I've seen happen when I've redone this game over and over again, every single heart floats. Some of them float a little bit less, some of them float a little bit more, some of them touch the pipeline, prison pipeline line, some of them don't, but every single one of them floats. And that has to give us hope for the human condition. So what did I take away from this? When I first was watching the shows, when I've been experiencing these issues in my classrooms, I've been in despair. I've been extremely confused and almost tormented about what could I possibly do to help these children that come from these homes. And this experiment, I was completely stunned by the outcome, that every single heart would float. Every heart has resiliency. It has hope. And so one of the other things we're supposed to talk about is, what are the changes that we can do to increase the resiliency for these children? What are my own changes? For me, I absolutely feel that doing this project has changed my mindset, that even though these children are coming from these real dire circumstances that they didn't choose, they're inherited to them, I can impact them, and I can impact their resiliency. In some of the bags that did not come out in this particular demonstration of the game, there are a caring mentor adds resiliency, a loving friend adds resiliency, and there's a lot of people that can come alongside children that are experiencing these traumas that can increase their resiliency and increase their chances of a hopeful heart. Our schools are a primary place to do that. It's an extraordinary location to be able to give these children an influx of the hope that they're not receiving from their homes. And so how does it work in the school? The changes in the school need to be educators that are trauma informed and trauma prepared, that they can offer these children the hope and the resiliency by being aware of the signs, being capable to know what programs and services we have to offer those kids and their families, because it's a lot of times it goes back to also helping their families. We don't just teach children, we are impacting the family, which goes to community. What kind of changes are necessary in the community? There's a plethora of programs that are available to people in these situations. However, they may not know that they exist. And so as educators, we do have a right and a responsibility to these kids and their families to let them know that they have assistance programs available to them, counseling, therapy, all sorts of types of assistance for health and human needs, like nutrition and sanitation, education, and all of those types of things are things they may not know exist, and they may think that they are at a cost, whereas they're not. And giving those people the ability to access those services in their community is huge. It's a really big privilege as an educator to offer those things to the families of these children. And then also be a part of the change in your community. Choose to act in manners outside of school that impact the resiliency of those children and the community that they live in. Smile at somebody and give them hope for the day. Offer somebody a kindness, a random act of kindness. Builds hope in somebody's heart, and their heart floats just a little bit more that day, and it impacts their trajectory. It impacts their life. And even those that are in prison, even those that have gone through the pipeline and gone straight to the end result, which is what we never hope for, but they are incarcerated, those people still need hope. Those people can still be impacted by our hearts and our lives, and we have to choose to help and choose to build hope and resiliency. So again, my name is Jamie Voigt, and this was my project on the prison, Cradle to Prison pipeline, how it impacted me and what I learned through this process. So I hope that you enjoyed, and hopefully we can go out and build resiliency and hope in this world. Thank you.